Hey everybody, we got some weird TikToks to watch today, so let's get right into it.
That public schools aren't just taking pictures of students, they're feeding a much bigger system that nobody's talking about. Every single year, schools bring in these random third party companies to take high definition photos of millions of kids. And when you really stop to think about it, it's kind of strange. Most parents don't question it. We sign a form, send our kid in a clean shirt, and never think twice. But if you actually look into who owns some of these companies, that's where people online start freaking out. Because when you follow the money, you don't end up at a small photography studio, you end up at a massive data firm,
And of course, BlackRock owns it.
corporations with investments in facial recognition, AI training, and digital identity systems. And suddenly parents online are like, why does a data company want a perfectly lit, perfectly framed, high resolution photo of my 7-year-old? Here's where the theory gets unsettling. These companies don't just take the photo, they store it, they process it, some even claim legal ownership of every image they capture. And when parents ask them to delete it, a few have literally said no because that picture is now part of their system. So people are asking, is this really about school pictures, or are schools quietly helping build the next generation of facial data sets starting with our children? I'm not saying it's true, but with how fast digital surveillance is growing, it's not as far-fetched as you think. Stay weird.
There is a totally real conspiracy that's happening right now that not a ton of people are talking about, and it's none of the ones you're thinking. It doesn't really even involve any politicians. It will not cause you emotional distress, and it will probably not even stress you out that much. I just think it's kind of interesting. The demand for trading cards is literally the highest that it's ever been.
Yo, Pokemon's been going crazy lately. Like, people that go and scalp these things, I've seen videos of people getting in fights over these. Pokemon's insane.
Which is crazy because in the 1990s, everything was a trading card. 2 years ago, you could get a new set of Pokemon cards for $5, which is roughly 50 cents per card. But right now, if you go to the store, if you can find one of the newer sets, it's going to be $10 or more. That's $1 per card for these little pieces of printed cardboard. And it's not just Pokemon cards, it's sports cards, and newer or lesser known card games like One Piece. They are all facing this, supply and demand crisis. And a lot of this supply and demand crisis is because people realized that they could go to the store, buy 100 packs of cards, open them on the internet for views, use the money that they get from those views to reinvest and buy more Pokemon cards, and use it as a way of, pretty decent income. If those people get a rare or highly sought after card, they might send it to PSA, which is a collectible grading service. They get a score from 1 to 10, they put it in one of these little plastic cases, and then that card is then substantially more valuable. If you want a clear example of how much more valuable a 10 can be than a 9, here's a good one. That guy bought this card for $5.3 million. It is a grade 10. It's the best version you can get. It is currently worth $7 to $12 million because the market for
What? $7 to $12 million for a Pokemon card? Dude, I'm in the wrong business. I should have kept all those cards I had when I was a kid. I guarantee you I would have had some good ones up in there, man. Mom always throws them out.
cards is way up. However, if you wanted to go buy a PSA 9 copy, you could do so for $475,000. That is exponentially less money. PSA has started to supply stores like GameStop with graded cards directly, and that's where the conspiracy is. I don't collect trading cards, but let's pretend that I do for a second. So let's just imagine that I send 30 cards to PSA. They grade all 30 of them, and they send me an email that says, you know what, we like these 15, we'll give you fair market value for them, and we'll send you back the other 15 that we don't want. That's what they've started doing, and a lot of people have found it to be a really convenient way to sell their cards because it cuts out all the work of having to put them on eBay or some other similar site. But what if PSA graded my cards at a 9, sent me a fair market value offer for them that I accepted, and then they artificially changed that number to a 10 and sold them for substantially more money? And that's exactly what has happened in at least one case, and probably even more. One collector has at least gone to social media with the receipts of all their transactions to point out what has happened to them. So they sent in 30 cards to PSA. They were all graded a 9. He took a direct market value offer from PSA, but he got curious because he is a hardcore collector and thought it was strange that they all got graded a 9. So he looked up
Yeah,
the
that's
serial
weird.
numbers for all of the cards and realized that PSA had turned around and made them 10s and was selling them for substantially more than he got offered for the cards. So that's totally weird and shady and raises a ton of ethical questions about this business model, so naturally you'd think people would go to another card grading service, like Beckett. Beckett has been purchased by PSA, which gives PSA 80% of the market value for card grading. And for perspective, historically speaking, the monopolies that started all of our antitrust laws, those companies owned about 90% of their markets. The only reason that PSA is able to do this is because even though they own Beckett, they are allowing Beckett to operate as an independent company underneath their corporate umbrella. I don't even collect trading cards. I've just been reading about this and following this story.
Again, you have to be allowed to do something. Like, you should just be able to send those things in and then just get them graded. I know that's what they're doing, but this kind of whole thing that they're doing is kind of weird.
And I think it's incredibly interesting, and I'm so excited to see where it goes in the courts, because there's no way it doesn't end up there for one reason or another. There is a...
It's going to be very interesting to see how that turns out.
Well, allegedly, you may have just celebrated your last Christmas holiday.
I remember Trump saying this. That was crazy.
And why do I say that? Because according to a post by President Donald J. Trump, he stated that this might be our last Merry Christmas. But he's not the only one saying things like that. As a matter of fact, take a look at this.
So,
listen to
I
this.
didn't think this was true. Check this out. Hey, Alexa, how many days until Christmas 2026?
There aren't any Christmas holidays in 2026.
What did you just hear that I just heard in that video? I thought maybe it's a mistake because there have been some updates to Alexa's operating system, including the new voice. But then I did some digging and research and found a few more videos of individuals asking similar questions and getting similar results. Take a listen to this. Listen.
Alexa, how many days until Thanksgiving 2026?
Thanksgiving Day in 2026 is 332 days away, on Thursday, November 26th.
Alexa, how many days until Christmas 2026?
There aren't any Christmas holidays in 2026.
So
why are they saying no Christmas? That's weird. Like, what did Trump mean by that? And why is Alexa answering this way?
So did Alexa just say something that she should have not said in the first place? There was also mentions of it by AI and also the President of the United States. So what the heck is actually going on? Is it just a mistake on all parts? Or is there actually something planned or something going to happen? And keep this in the back of your mind. AI is Alexa. Alexa is AI. And it's very difficult to scrub something from AI unless the people that control the AI scrub it themselves. And as far as the statement by President Donald J. Trump, he told everyone to enjoy what might be their last Merry Christmas. So I guess my question to you is, does any of this sound like a greeting? Or does this sound like some type of warning? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always,
Sounds like some type of warning to me. I don't know. Something's going on, yo.
Every 3 years, like clockwork, I re-deep dive down the lore of the Denver International Airport between the hours of 1 to 2 a.m. any given day. Doesn't matter when it's going to happen, but it always happens every 3 years. For those of you who have not been down this rabbit hole before, I'm going to take you down there with me because it's just so insane. All alleged, by the way. Have your own mind. You can make your own interpretations. Okay, we're all adults here. Maybe, some of us, not all of us. To understand how crazy some of the stuff they actually have inside the airport is, you kind of have to understand a little bit of the history. So the process of building this airport...
Yeah, this airport's crazy, man. I live in Colorado. I've been there multiple times. Insane.
Actually started in September of 1989. It came in to replace the Stapleton Airport, which was a perfectly fine airport. There really wasn't any issues with it. Maybe some debates about it overcrowding a little bit. Officials came in and they were like, actually, we're going to close down this airport, open up a new one, make it bigger than Boston, as well as Miami, San Francisco, Paris, and Manhattan. We're going to set the budget at, let's say like $2 billion. They're putting a lot of money into this airport, making it massive. But this is not what happened. They ended up opening up 2 years late because they had so many construction mishaps. Several of the buildings were constructed very incorrectly, whether it was the wrong location, wrong size, a design flaw. Ultimately, instead of demolishing these buildings, which is like the normal way to get rid of a building, they were like, oh, just bury it. Huh? Ultimately, around 5 to 6 of these buildings were just buried. During the process of building, they were also hiring out a lot of different contractors. So it's thought that there isn't like a singular person that really knows the full scale and full capacity that is DIA. There's a lot of people online that theorize that maybe some of these buildings that were buried underground are being used for something else. There's a lot of people online that have said that maybe these buildings are being used for something else, such as an underground bunker. For who, you might ask? We'll get into that. By the time they were done constructing everything, the final cost was $4.8 billion. Maybe I don't know enough about airports and the things that go into it, but $2 billion over the budget seems a lot, seems excessive. A lot of people have also commented on the shape of the airport as well, which appears to look like a very frowned upon symbol. I don't know if I can say that on here, which I don't really see this one as much unless you're like really looking for it. But one of the designs about the place that does truly creep me out is that the whole
I mean, it's right there in front of your face. You don't really have to look for it. It's right there.
whole thing is surrounded by barbed wire that's facing inwards, almost as if you're keeping something trapped in as opposed to keeping something out. And you might be thinking, oh, that is kind of a weird construction process, but at least it ends there, right? Well, the way that they've decorated this place is really what's fueled the rumors, starting with the massive colorful murals that are inside. These murals have this eerie post-apocalyptic feel to them, with a military figure and children and women looking like they're at his feet. It also looks like he's unaliving a bird in one of these, but the artist has come forward and been like, no, I didn't mean for this to frighten anyone. This is just supposed to be about world peace. I totally understand that art is very interpretive for everyone, but for me personally, and it seems like for a lot of other people, I just don't feel relaxed or at peace whenever I look at some of these images. But we are literally just scratching the surface.
Yeah, it's a little weird when you go in there and you see those. It doesn't make you feel relaxed. And nothing has to do with like world peace. I don't know. It doesn't look world peacely to me. I don't know if that's a word. Oh, sorry. You're a Louisiana private investigator that has come in contact with a whistleblower of a satanic cult that dozens of politicians have been allegedly involved with. You and your partner go to meet him and realize it was a setup. What did I just watch? That was in... Yo. Alright. I'm not a flat earther at all, but what if we would really even know? We truly don't know. Like, I believe this world is flat. I don't believe in the globe. It even says it in the Bible. There's a firmament, all that stuff. It's flat.
The family has had lots of different interests in all sorts of different fields. I think the famous ones are probably wine.
For more than 200 years, the Rothschild family controlled vast amounts of money, power, and influence across Europe. Governments collapsed. Wars reshaped borders.
So apparently, Christmas in 2025 was our last Christmas. Our president, Donald J. Trump, posted and said, "This is going to be our last Merry Christmas." Now, he could be talking about anything, but I jumped down that rabbit hole, and he's not the only person saying it. Look at this shit.
So, I didn't think this was true. Check this out. Hey, Alexa, how many days until Christmas 2026?
There aren't any Christmas holidays in 2026.
What? And I thought maybe that was a mistake.
I know we just saw something pretty much just like this, but why would Alexa, AI, be saying that along with our president? Why now? Like, what's significant about 2026? What's gonna happen this year?
Maybe Alexa just said that because of a calendar issue. And then I seen this video right here.
Y'all,
listen to this shit right here.
I want y'all to listen to this, okay?
Pay attention.
Alexa, how many days until Thanksgiving 2026?
Thanksgiving
Sorry, y'all, that was my phone.
Day in 2026 is 334 days away, on Thursday, November 26th.
Okay.
Alexa, how many days until Christmas 2026?
There aren't any Christmas holidays in
Why is that?
2026.
Yeah. Well,
So Alexa just said something she was absolutely not supposed to say. Now we heard the president say it. Then we heard AI say it. So what do they really mean? Either that was a mistake, or either they're trying to tell us something without telling us what they want to tell us. You got to remember, AI doesn't erase things by accident. If something's erased, that means somebody erased it. And as far as our president, he did something way more provocative. He told people to enjoy what may be our last Merry Christmas. And that wasn't a typo. None of this sounds like a greeting. This sounds like a warning. Pay attention. So
Glazed over how insanely bonkers it is that a place like Epstein's Island even existed. But what most people don't know is that it wasn't the first of its kind. Decades earlier, in the middle of Lake Michigan, a desolate island owned by a wealthy Detroit socialite became the subject of all sorts of wild conspiracy theories. And at first, a conspiracy theory is exactly what most people thought it was. While on the surface, it was just a summer camp for young boys, teaching them survivalist skills in nature, behind the scenes, these children were being flown to this island to be exploited, filmed, and traded among the men who sponsored the island's operations. The owner of North Fox Island, a man named Frank Sheldon, had purchased the land specifically for this purpose. As a matter of fact, the very first thing he did was built an airstrip on the island as a means to shuttle boys in and out. One of the men who sponsored the island was a former school teacher named Gerald Richards. He and Sheldon ran a nonprofit called Brother Paul's Children Mission. The organization was supposed to help underprivileged youth connect with nature, but upon their plane touching down on the landing strip, the boys would soon realize that that wasn't going to be the case. Now, it's a lot to get into, so much so that we had to make our podcast episode about this in 2 parts, because the owner of the island would eventually flee the country, making it extremely difficult to charge him with any involvement. The story disappeared from the news fairly quickly and was just dismissed as an urban legend. But North Fox Island was just a tiny piece in a much larger picture of child trafficking rings happening around the world. It wouldn't be until the early 2000s that more people began examining the evidence themselves, realizing just how extensive this operation truly was. North Fox Island has also been tied to a series of unsolved child murders committed by an unknown perpetrator known only as the Oakland County Child Killer. It's an awful lot to dive into, but if you're interested, you can check out my 2-part episode on this topic, or I can make a part 2 here. We really
these higher ups men are just disgusting. Why would you want to do that with a child? It's so gross. It's despicable.
The mystery of Area 51 is finally exposed. This theory is quite scary, so hold on tight. Area 51 is a place where the government interacts and experiments with aliens. It's considered the most secretive location on Earth. Rumors suggest that the U.S. government communicates with aliens.
Yeah, I think Area 51 is meant to be known, but there's another, like, Area 51 somewhere else pretty close to the original Area 51, and that's where all the other stuff goes.
For human exchanges in scientific experiments. By the way, to make sure that the U.S. government isn't tracking your phone, click Share, then scroll all the way over and select More. If there is an unknown app before your contacts, you should remove it. When UFOs crash on Earth, they undergo various scientific experiments by the U.S. government. However, the alien civilizations strongly dislikes this idea.
We're back for part 12 of things we moved on way too quickly from, controversies and conspiracy. This was my take at a crown. It's bad. It's bad. I know it's bad, okay? It's actually giving Pope more than anything. Starting off very strong with something you probably have no idea exists, but the patent for mind control and nervous system control that goes into technology. This was patented in 2003, by the way. This patent essentially says that if they pulse certain images on your TVs, your literal old-ass CRTVs, and TVs now, that they can generate a certain electromagnetic field to influence your nervous system.
Yeah, I believe that.
It's real. In the patent itself, it literally says it can affect your emotion.
That's why, like, even your phones, like, nowadays, I've been watching some of these videos where people have been thinking in their head, not thinking out loud, in their head, of, like, crimes and stuff, and police were called to their house and stuff. That's insane. That should be illegal, man.
You're feeling...
We're being watched 24/7. No privacy.
And your body. If you have any knowledge about frequencies and how humans react to frequencies, that is essentially what they are doing. They are flashing images on there, using the electromagnetic fields to lower your frequency and overall fuck you up. That is why I am Panic Attack Central, I'm telling you. Michael Jackson. Not even just his death, but his entire life. The fact that he tried to make certain political songs, and the second he wanted them released, there were allegations that he definitely did not do. Not even just his life, but his death for a doctor that was only sentenced for 4 years, but got out early for literally unaliving the king of pop, who had priors of medical malpractice.
R.I.P. Mike, man. One of the greatest musicians out there. Sorry.
They set that man up. The Baltic Sea anomaly. It was discovered in 2011 by some Swedish treasure hunters with a company called Ocean X. And not only did it look like a UFO, and it had corridors, and it looked like it was carved, it had a trail, which means it looked like it definitely crash landed there. What makes this extra creepy is that it had a huge electromagnetic field. We're talking like all the electronics in the boat and the diver's equipment were hindered by the field of this object under the sea. Now, in 2025, an organization called the Society of UAP Studies did an actual investigation and went out, took new data, took new pictures, and their results have not been released yet. But I will update you guys with that. The sulfuric acid incident that just happened a couple days ago in Houston, Texas. Over 1 million gallons of sulfuric acid poured into the ocean after a catwalk that was placed above the housing tank with all of this acid in it collapsed on top of it. Now, they were able to stop the leak, but the conspiracy here for me is they say nobody is at risk. They say that they're monitoring the air quality and they're monitoring the water. But 2 people were hospitalized and 44 other people.
That's crazy, dude. Like, sulfuric acid in the ocean. Just think what it's going to do to the sea life, the coral, all that stuff, man. That's insane. How can we let stuff like this happen?
Were looked at in ambulance services on the scene when it happened. But no, nobody's at risk. The marine life is fine.
They're lying, bro. It's sulfuric acid. They are lying.
It's all Gucci. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of repercussions from that acid spill. And no, it's probably not okay. RIP to all of that marine life.
Thank you so much for watching, and follow for the next part.
Do you know Texas Roadhouse has cameras in their light bulbs? Did you know Texas Roadhouse has cameras in their light bulbs?
Literally watched everywhere we go.
Yo, the glitter conspiracy is a rabbit hole you are not ready for. So I didn't know this, but there's legit only like 2 main manufacturers of glitter in the world, both of which are based in New Jersey, of all places. And yes, I'm talking like regular glitter, the same stuff you use in arts and crafts. One of these companies is like super secret and private, that apparently invented glitter themselves and is very hush-hush about everything. And the other is GlitterX. No one really thought much of it until it came out that we actually have a worldwide shortage of glitter back in 2018. Kind of a weird
shortage in glitter? I didn't even know the world was using that much glitter, man. I barely even use glitter in my house. Like, I've never seen anybody use glitter that much.
Weird thing to be short of. So a journalist from the New York Times went in to interview the team at GlitterX to find out. She casually asked if she could tour the factory, and surprisingly, GlitterX told her absolutely not. Like, there was no debate about it. She was
Well, of course. They don't want to show what they're doing.
strictly not allowed to see how glitter was made and wasn't even allowed to be in a nearby room to even hear how it's made. So instead, she was just left to interview a manager at the company, and things just kept getting sketchier. She asks the manager if she could tell her what industry serves as her biggest market, and the GlitterX rep instantly, without hesitation, tells her, "No, I absolutely cannot tell you." Confused, the journalist
That's crazy.
asks her if she knows who their biggest customer is, and she replies with, "Oh god, yes, and you would never guess it. Let's just leave it at that." Asking why she can't talk about it, she responds by saying because they don't want anyone to know that it is glitter, and that if you looked at it, you wouldn't even know that it's glitter. The journalist then asks if you'd even be able to see the glitter at all in the finished product, to which the manager replies, "Oh, you'd be able to see something, but it's, yeah, I can't." And this interview single-handedly sparked the great glitter rabbit hole.
That's crazy. Something's going on for sure. I never even knew there was a conspiracy for glitter until right now.
Whole of the internet. Apparently, these clients that purchase glitter are all under a very strict confidentiality clause with GlitterX. They really do not want people to know that their products are made from the sparkly stuff. The industry these products are part of is clearly massive, yet no one knows what it is. So what even is glitter? By definition, it is aluminum metallized polyethylene terephthalate, essentially plastic that has been aluminized and shredded into tiny specks that sparkle. And it's used in a lot of things, from credit cards, passports, currency, football helmets, cosmetics, jet skis, granite countertops, even toothpaste, allegedly. But none of these are quite big enough to be this
I didn't know glitter was in all that stuff, man. I never knew that.
top industry buyer of glitter. One of the leading theories is that this biggest glitter industry is for boat paint, which many manufacturers do admit they use it in their boats, and they don't want people to know about it because of how much microplastics in the glitter these boats are really dumping into the ocean, which is a hot topic these days and is why they'd want to keep it such a secret. Others claim that it's being dumped into beaches to make the sand sparkle, or that it's just Crest toothpaste and we're rubbing the microplastics directly into our gums as well.
Right, so the CIA dropped documents saying that we're living inside a hologram. Not maybe.
They literally said that we're in a hologram? So the Matrix confirmed?
Not theoretically. No, your entire life is basically a rendered environment, and your brain is the controller. Let's talk about it. So the doc is called the Gateway Experience, and inside of it, the CIA literally says reality is a projection. You ain't hear what I said, right? Not physical, not solid, a self-generated simulation your conscious
just blows your mind. That's crazy.
is plugged into. Like a cosmic VR headset you didn't consent to wear it. According to them, matter isn't even matter. It's just vibrations organized by your brain to make this shit look real. Crazy shit. They say you could break the simulation by syncing both sides of your brain, something called hemisync. And this is for entertainment purposes only, informational purposes only, educational purposes only. 2 different tones in each ear between 3 and 7 hertz. And suddenly your brain clicks into a higher operating system. And once you're in that state, the CIA claim you could do some crazy shit. Leave your body, remote view locations, manipulate your reality field, access information outside of time. Basically some superhuman shit. This is what they're saying. The CIA also goes as far as saying the universe is a giant holographic projection coming from a source that we can't see. Your body is the avatar. Your conscience is the player. And the game responds to your level of awareness. You heard what I just said? They tried to bury
The game responds? Yo. I don't even know what to say about this.
this shit. For years, these documents were classified. Let Google be your best friend. Jump down that rabbit hole. I'm out.
I'm definitely going to jump down that rabbit hole, man. I need to know what this is about. But yeah, guys, those are some strange and creepy TikToks that might change your reality.